going on? My name is Jordan McDuff and welcome to About That Time. Today we're going to be doing a one-day review on the Nivada Compensamatic, one of those watch companies that kind of died with the quartz crisis. It was kind of unfortunate, but the best thing is that today we are going to be looking at this watch through a microscope and also through other lenses to see the quality, the not so quality, and to see what kind of pieces were being produced back in the 1930s and 1940s, see its capabilities, see its water resistance. So this is a one-day review with Jordan McDuff. So let's get started. Okay, so today we're talking about the Nivada Compensamatic. It's a dress watch. It is a very beautiful rose gold dress watch. It's got a wonderful patina on it, and it was only about 200 bucks. So with 200 bucks, what kind of vintage dress watch can you get for 200 bucks? This watch was made in 1930s, 1940s by the Nivada Watch Company, and they also own the company Lamont. Now they both went defunct because of the quartz crisis. When reviewing any watch, I want to start with the movement. Now the movement was an ETA movement, and it's very accurate from what I understand. I had to tune it a little bit. It started out at -4 minutes off for the entire day. That was the error that I received. I was a little shocked by that, to be honest with you. So I went through, I did some fine tuning, and I got it down to a minute. And I didn't go any further than that because I wanted to do a video on how to tune your own mechanical watch, because people make a killing on just tuning alone, and it's a service you could really do yourself and do it safely within the confines of your own house. So also, on top of that, 1930s had no hacking, no second hacking, so there was no ability for me to synchronize. So I took a point off for that, but on top of that, the crown was very sturdy. Really, I mean, when I say the crown, I really mean the crown stem, because the crown actually unscrewed from the body of the crown stem because the previous guy had unscrewed it and loosened it. When I went to change the time, it actually unscrewed on me, so that was a big issue. I actually had to put the watch back in, had to take it all apart, put it back together, because I couldn't get it to screw back in there without winding. It was just a big mess. But anyway, I'll make a behind the scenes video about all this. It was kind of fun. On top of that, the crown is sturdy. It's very difficult to pull out, so I actually have to use a watchmaker's knife to get under it and pull it out. Not a big deal, but out of the box, you really want something to kind of enjoy, especially when it's basically a restoration. A restoration you kind of expect to be start to finish, but with watches it's never really the case. It's always kind of a project. But I'm thinking about this from an average consumer perspective. It would be kind of a difficult thing to have be put in your place. Now, it's a hand wound movement, and I really do think that the best way to describe this movement is durable. It's the 1930s, okay? 1930s, they were using all kinds of different ways, and to me, that was one of the heightened points in watchmaking. It was finally, they were purposely making these watches small just to show how capable they are, right? And now they're making them larger, and the movements are like this big, but the watches are like this big, right? So it's kind of like phones today. Like, we made phones way bigger than they were supposed to, even when they could have been smaller, right? So it's kind of like that. We're making them thinner, but not small, you know. So let's talk about some design points. You've got a rose gold case, you've got an acrylic crystal, applied markers, and the numbers are 12, 3, 6, and 9. A wonderful patina. It's really beautiful. When you look down on it, you're like, man, this is a beautiful old watch. Now, there's some questionable issues with it. Like I see in the second hand when I look in the microscope, I see some issues with the way that they applied the second hand, but so far I haven't had any issues with it. But maybe I'm just over-analyzing it because I have a microscope now, because when I look at it from the naked eye, it looks fine. But when I looked at it on the microscope, I was like, oh, that doesn't look good. But everything looks beautiful and everything seems to be working fine. So there's no real reason to worry about that. Now, it has a wonderful feeling under the cuff. It works amazing. There is literally no issue with it being under the cuff. Like, nothing. There's nothing wrong with it. And on top of that, it's a very small watch. I mean, you can see it here. I've got a 7.5 wrist, and it is a 30 to 31 millimeter. The reason why there's a variance there is because I got 30.5, like 30.5 millimeters. So I just kind of made 30 and 31 just kind of in the middle there, and it is 11 millimeters thick. So it's really not that tall, but for a dress watch it can be. This is not going to win any awards for thinness. You need all of that space, especially for that rounded acrylic case. It's beautiful. Now, some design cues, it's very understated. Like if you were to go out, I'm just thinking about black tie event. Like I'm going out to a wedding, for example. No one is going to say, dude, I love your watch. The people that are going to say that are going to be people that are looking out for like Invictas, right? Those are the kind of people that are going to say that right off the bat because they draw you in. They're really big and loud. This watch is not that. It's very understated. But when someone notices it, then they start to look in and do a little bit more research. Then that comes and translates into a better conversation about that watch. And to me, that is a better result for a watch guy. Someone who has a story. This is from the 1930s. It's wonderful. It's got this really awesome patina on it. It was a restoration job that I bought for $200. So it's got the price, it's got the heritage, it's got the quality there. It's a Swiss movement. And it's going to put that Invicta guy to shame, right? Honestly. And so I just kind of put that perspective there. You know, it's really important to have the quality there. It's better to me to have a good quality watch that might be understated for a specific purpose, but then in the right circumstance, people will start to really appreciate it, right? And I think that will shine more and show that you have a lot more knowledge about what you're wearing versus that guy who just bought an Invicta for $200 and is just looking for compliments, hoping that people think it's a Rolex, right? So should you buy this watch? Now keep in mind, this is a restoration watch. So the case, the band, the buckle, the crown, everything, the acrylic is new, everything is new. The only thing that is original on this watch is the dial, the hands, and the movement. Those are the only three things that are there. Now, if you're looking for a classic, small, pre-war dress watch for about $200, this is perfect. It's got significance without a lot of money. And it has good heritage, it has a good price, and it has good quality. I mean, an Etta movement is going to last forever. You have the added costs of repair and the added costs of maintenance, but on top of that, you really shouldn't have to worry about it much. I mean, just kind of wind it and let it go. Do not put this thing, I mean, I would not wind it every day. I would keep it, I would allow it to wind down because it'll make it last longer in the long run. But really, it's just a beautiful watch. It's worth purchasing if you're looking for something small, if you have a small wrist. Now, it fits great on my wrist, and it's the smallest watch that I own. It fits really great. Now, it doesn't look dorky to me because the lugs are so long. Now, I would probably say that this thing is probably 40 millimeters from the top of the lug to the bottom of the lug here. And so it really expands out really well with that. And on top of that, it's very, very capable. Like, it has kept really good time for the last couple of days that I've been wearing it. I wore it yesterday and today just to kind of see how it would do, and I've had no issues with it. And so it being a one-day review, I would love to review it for longer, but the issue that I have is that there's no lume. There's no luminescence whatsoever on this watch, and it having a day and the date and the month, that's awesome, but without the luminescence, it kind of ruins its abilities at night for me to wear it all the time, because I actually wear a watch to sleep. Some people don't, and they're okay with that, but I also like to look down and see what time it is in the middle of the night, and I don't have to go pick up my phone and blind myself and all this stuff when I can just have this subtle luminescence that would greet me in the middle of the night instead of having me, you know, hit that blue light in my face and all this stuff. It just wouldn't be comfortable. On top of that, I do have to say a little disclaimer here. Some side notes. Again, the case was aftermarket and not original. The only thing that is original is the dial, the hands, and the movement. The crown stem was not properly tightened, and the O-ring were not in place to sufficiently remove dust from the watch. This watch is not water resistant at all. By that, I mean this watch is not water resistant at all. Now, I got this watch, the Lamont, that I'll review later. It said waterproof, and so obviously the terminology has changed since waterproof and water resistant, right? Things have changed a lot. Things are adjusting and changing all the time when it comes to watches. So it's really important that when you look at a watch, you evaluate, especially a vintage watch. Terminology has changed, especially scientifically. We didn't have IPv64 or whatever it is. Back then we had, oh, this watch is waterproof because you can wash your hands with it, meaning that that's it. But who knows, that could have been just a marketing term, right? Because I have another Nivada Compensamatic that is also waterproof, but that could have just been a ploy for them to just hope to stick their hand in this water and go diving with it, hoping that they would just bring it back to the shop so they can get some more money out of them. Who knows, it could have been just a marketing term. But all of that to say, this watch is perfect for just special occasions, that special night out, that watch that you just want to wear, that watch that just makes you feel like you got something really nice on your wrist without having to spend $1,000, $500. This to me really is like a $500 watch on your wrist. And so I would recommend it. I think it's a really great watch. I'm going to put a link down below. It's not affiliate links or whatever. I just basically made it easy so you can just click the link. It'll take you right to eBay. I've already got the refining elements down so that you can just see what I got and see if you can afford one, if you can swing one. They're changing all the time. It wouldn't make sense for me to just do individual links. So I just did the whole search. So if you want, go and click that, look for one. I recommend it. It's really awesome. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video about the Nivada Compensamatic. Really weird term for a watch, but on top of that, just remember to subscribe and like and comment, just to know that people are watching this, because I have no idea if they're doing that. I'm a fairly new channel, so I don't know anything about anything. So I hope you enjoyed this. Come back next time, and God bless America. That's the best way to do this.